Carpe Sus, when hunting up in North Texas. Hogs have been visiting my place for a couple weeks now. This is the image from the previous 2 nights, basically. I show up and no hogs show up. However, I showed up with all my gear, including the Garmin Xero C1 Pro that a viewer requested that I test to see if it would record shots in the dark, and it does. I was also able to get video imagery of a deer there at 25 yards, and then raccoons all night long. There's a raccoon at 100 yards. But unfortunately, no hogs showed up. While I was there, however, hogs were in one of my landowner's properties, and that's where I am this evening, looking at some of the damage done. He's actually gone in and repaired some of this. He's gotten the harrow out and dragged it across. But the hogs had been there, so I'm going to be there.
That dot in the center of the screen is a deer at 495 yards, according to my laser rangefinder. Deer at 250 yards to 290 yards.
After 4 hours, I moved on to check other properties. Carpe Mephitis. I'm on the property with the skunk problem. And I'm getting video with my Rix Optics Storm S3 thermal weapon sight. It's a 384 resolution sight that works very well. Alright. First shot does connect. But a second shot just to make sure, and that is a dead skunk. After the skunk, I continued on around the property, and Carpe Decipus came across this armadillo, and it's going to be the next target for my Lone Star Armory TX15 multi-purpose carbine enhanced in 6.5 Grendel or 264 LBC, through which I'll be shooting some Hornady ELD-VT 100 grain ammunition. Here you can see I'm providing the environmental information. This really has nothing to do with this particular hunt, as armadillos and skunks really aren't bothered by things such as wind and your smell and whatnot. If you walk up on them, yeah, you can get in their personal space and get them to move along, but otherwise they really don't care so much if you're there. So I'm going to go ahead and shoot this guy at 90 yards. And I swear, watch what happens right here. This little piece comes across, and for a second in my mind, I thought that was part of the armadillo. It's obviously a bug. Sleep deprivation is not my friend. Well, it had rained the previous evening, and I'm back checking for hog damage, and sure enough, I've got some fresh rooting out in the pasture, but no hogs showed up. Later on, I'm on another property, and I've got an armadillo there in the distance. Now, as I'm getting set up on the tripod, the video on the left is with the Rix Storm S3 thermal weapon sight, and the video on the right is with the Pocket K2 thermal scanner. Here we go. Based on my initial assessment, that armadillo should not be a problem any longer. I stay on him just to make sure he's down and dead, and once I'm satisfied with that, I am done. However, I thought this was cool. This is with the K2. Just showing what it can do. Another armadillo down, and on to other hunts. And Carpe Sus, a couple hunts later, finds me on some pigs. These pigs are across the road, out there at about 500 yards or so. Eventually, they did manage to come across the road, and I did get a chance to take down a few of them. That's all part of a Rix project, and so won't be showing that at this time, maybe later in the season. But here are the hogs that I took down.
Brass Catcher by Tactical Brass Recovery.
After my initial search, I was able to recover 2 boars and a gilt. A little more searching turned up this gilt across the road inside the creek. Got her out. She came in at about 115 pounds. And she is special because she is my 2002nd hog killed. Well, I continued on with my search for hogs and wasn't finding any hogs. It's on a property where they also want me to take out some armadillos. And so I've got this armadillo. And when I speed up the video like this, I always think that I should be playing Benny Hill music, but I think all that's copyrighted. So go out, get my documentation, get my distance, get my photograph, and that's a dead armadillo. Heading on out of the property, I've got another armadillo up on the hillside. My original direction of fire would have put the house directly behind the armadillo, so I'm now working my way off to the left, so I'm shooting away from the house. Here I've got the rifle up. The armadillo's disappeared from the K2 on the right-hand screen, but see it in part through the storm on the left-hand screen. It's in some vegetation that's a little bit taller than the armadillo is, so it's a little harder to see. That's good enough for a shot. Here we go. And that's going to be the last one down for this series of hunt. Nice little armadillo. Won't be causing any more problems. Carpe sus, my friends.